Hi Girl Scouts, my name's Molly. I'm with Girl Scouts of Virginia Skyline, and today I'm going to be working on the Ambassador Water Badge with you, steps number 1 and 2. And to start, for step number 1, which is to have fun reflecting on your relationship with water, we are visiting a water source in its natural state. So this is the Roanoke River. It's near me, and I thought this would be a great place to start this badge and to start talking about reflecting on our relationship with water. Water is really easy to take for granted. It's something that we kind of always have access to for the most part, but it's very important to think about the importance of water. A lot of people don't have access to clean drinking water in not just our country, but in our world, and really examining where our water comes from and what it takes to keep it clean is pretty important. So that's what we're going to be talking about today for step 1, reflecting on our relationship with water. So most drinking water comes from either groundwater sources such as wells or springs, natural springs, or it comes from surface water such as rivers, but also lakes and reservoirs. And in Roanoke in particular, which is where our council is headquartered, we get our water primarily from 5 major surface water sources like lakes and reservoirs, but we also get it with some water from springs and wells as well. So for this step, what I want you to do is to dive deep and examine and find out, do some research into where specifically your drinking water comes from in your area. If you're in Roanoke like me and I just told you, maybe just learn very specifically what those 5 surface water sources are. Do some research on that. But if you already know, say you live on a family farm and you know that your water comes from your well, the well on your property, that's fine. Do some research, find a different area and see if you can learn more about where someone else gets their water in a place different from you. I want you to learn a little bit more. And then as we reflect on our water, we're also going to be talking about how we can take care of our water sources. That's an important part of this step 1 is to reflect on our relationship with water and the importance of protecting it. So while groundwater sources like wells and springs can be contaminated and easily, taken for granted, we're not going to focus on that today. We're going to focus on surface water sources and how we can better take care of them. So taking care of our streams, our lakes, our rivers, maybe our beaches and our oceans if you're near there. So stormwater is what we're going to be talking about, and what stormwater is very much what it sounds like. Stormwater is the water that comes from a storm. So rain or hail or snow is all stormwater. And so in areas where there's little or no developed land, so imagine if you're in a big swath of national forest where there's not like parking lots and things, stormwater is always going to be just kind of absorbed into the ground, or it's just contributing directly to a water source like a creek or a stream or a river or a lake. But in urban areas like where I live, stormwater, when it falls on objects that are impermeable or don't absorb water, things like roads or our rooftops or parking lots, the stormwater runs off of those areas and it can create water pollution. It can carry pollutants from those impermeable sources into our waterways right here, and then further into our water sources, so into those reservoirs, into those lakes. And so it's really important to think about the ways that stormwater and our surface water can be protected from those pollutants. And there's a lot of things that you can do as an individual, obviously, to protect stormwater. So first is knowing where you live and knowing what possible runoff you could be contributing to. So even just in your household, there's a lot of things that you maybe don't even know in your household that can be causing pollutant runoff in stormwater that you might not even realize. So things like litter are really obvious. So that's one that you probably would be aware of if you have litter in your yard. But other things are things like fertilizers or pesticides can create runoff. So if you use fertilizers or pesticides in your garden, Or if you have pet waste in your yard, if you have a dog like I do, you could have pet waste in your yard, and that would be a source of pollution for stormwater runoff. So there are ways that you can reduce your impacts, whatever they may be. So don't litter, obviously, would be an easy one. But then also, if you do have a pet, just making sure you always pick up your pet's waste and dispose of it properly. And if it's going to rain soon, maybe keeping that in mind and not using the pesticides or fertilizers in your garden right before a rainstorm, because then it'll immediately be washed away. Maybe only doing that if you know it's going to be dry for a while, to mitigate those sources of pollution. So again, I want you to look into not only where your water comes from, where you're getting your water, but I want you to find a way that you or your family can lessen your impacts on stormwater, and the ways that you can reduce stormwater pollution in your area. Maybe you want to do something bigger and outside of your household too. You could do a trash pickup on a local water source. Like I know the Roanoke River here where I am often does community waste collection on the river, especially after a big storm when there's a little extra litter and things like that. So think about a way that you can do one thing to contribute to stormwater management in your area. And then step 2, in just a minute here, we are going to hop on the computer. Step 2 is to celebrate water art. And so we're going to get on the computer in just a minute and complete that step. But I want to thank you for joining me on the river today. I'm going to do a little bit more video for you so you can see how beautiful it is and how important it is to protect these resources. All right, so this is a beautiful day, gorgeous spot on the river. It's relaxing, the sun's shining. But as you can see, we are in a very urban area. We've got a roadway up there. So there is some stormwater. Even just today, I've noticed a little bit of trash here on the river. And so I'm gonna pick up what I can. I won't be able to get everything. You see there's a tire out there that's carried by stormwater and runoff. And so being aware, again, of our impacts is really important. So if there's like a big storm coming that you know, making sure you don't have stuff that could be washed away. So I've got some litter here. I'm gonna pick that up and take it with me. But if you are like me and you enjoy these resources, let alone enjoy the drinking water, you'll definitely want to do something to protect it. All right, welcome back. We are going to start on step 2 of the Ambassador Water Badge, which is to celebrate water art. And we're going to do this by virtually exploring an art exhibit that features water. And this water art in particular is artists exploring water issues. And this is specifically from Omaha, Nebraska. So we are just going to take a look, flip through some photos, but I encourage you to find your own way to explore and celebrate water art on your own. So this is really cool. Let me flip to the other picture. So this is basically it's an artwork to show the rivers and the groundwater wells in Nebraska, which is super cool. So I like having the 2 different views. So straight on, it looks really neat. But then from the side, you can tell it's a 3D work of art to depict the rivers and the wells. So that's pretty cool. Got some artwork with fish, lots of different sculptures, which is pretty cool. I kind of like how some are coming out and some are swimming into the wall. This series explores the physical presence of water in motion by freezing it in place with his camera lens. So that's super cool. It's you know, crashing waves you don't always see frozen in time, but that's a really neat way to look at ocean water. This one, which I think is really cool, mostly because I love the colors, it takes its vibrant soil colors from those used by soil ecologists mapping the land which is neat. I feel like it looks kind of like jellyfish, so I don't know if that was part of it or not, but you can see they were made by cutting through Tyvek and paper to evoke the porousness of a riverbank. So that's pretty cool. So I'm gonna look at that one a couple more times. That's wild. All right, this one nods to the tangle of roots beneath the surface of the earth that give rainwater a highway into the soil. So that's a really cool, that's an artwork kind of displaying how groundwater works, how it seeps into the soil and maybe makes aquifers and groundwater wells. That's really neat. All right, and then this one, let's see, represents the flow of water through a porous groundwater reservoir. So that's really neat. I wonder what that's made of. Let's see, I wonder if we can get more information. Bright colored paper, and it's covered by sticky black tar to represent the insidious movements of pollutants through groundwater. So this is definitely an artwork that not only you know, is really beautiful and really intricate, but it also has a pretty powerful message about protecting our water sources. So that's pretty neat. Because yeah, you can tell that it is very bright colored paper, but it's also covered in that tar. All right, let's see. So this water exhibit also features a scientific demonstration, such as this aquaculture set up by a local organization. So the top portion is a garden growing lettuce and kale, and the bottom is a home for edible fish. That's pretty neat. Oh, I wish there was another picture of that. All right, let's see. This is about agriculture and water droplets creating ripples and corn stalks. That's really neat. I wonder if that moves around on the tracks. All right, and this water is a theme in a permanent collection piece at this site. It's beautiful. Oh wow. So this is called Garden of Water, which is a beaded chandelier and video effects to make it look as if spiders are weaving webs around this chandelier's parts before it's drenched in a downpour. Wow, that's amazing. I bet that's really cool to see in person. So this is a triptych, which is the 3 panels using remote sensing data of Nebraska vegetation. On this side, ground temperature and groundwater density. That is really interesting. And then back to the beginning. All right, so that was our step 2, celebrating water art. That was really interesting. But again, I encourage you to find your own water art to explore. Thank you for joining for steps 1 and 2, and we're going to be wrapping up this badge in the future as well. So hope you'll join us for that, and have a great day. Goodbye.